week 6 of the fantasy football season. Here's the top 12 kickers I'm ranking this week. Number 1, Brandon Aubrey of the Dallas Cowboys. I know last week he had a block kick on him as Aubrey, but this Cowboy offense does stall out a lot in the red zone. And we know Aubrey, his range is unlimited. This guy can hit it 60, 65 yards on most weeks if they got to trot him out there. So this week in a potential shootout in a game where Dallas knows they got to put up points versus the Detroit Lions, and it's an indoor game as well where he don't have to deal with the elements like last week with the wet field in Pittsburgh. I think Aubrey once again goes out there and has a good performance, and at least he's going to boot a 50-plus yarder, I believe. Number 2, Younghoe Koo of the Atlanta Falcons. Younghoe Koo, the last couple weeks, he's been the best kicker in fantasy football, 17 and a 20-point game. And this week a matchup with Carolina where their defense can't stop anyone. I think the opportunities are obviously going to be there for Younghoe Koo. And he's got a big boot. I know he's better indoor at home than he is on the road between his splits over the last few seasons. But after 2 monster performances, there's no way Younghoe Koo can't be a top kicker this week. Number 3, Justin Tucker of the Baltimore Ravens. This Raven offense, high-powered. They're putting up a lot of points, especially the last 3 weeks. They started 0-2, wrote the ship, now 3-2. And Tucker, he was struggling the first few weeks. And I know 50-plus yards still a problem for Tucker at times. But this week in a matchup versus the Commanders where this could be another shootout over there in Baltimore, I think Justin Tucker, he's fixed his problems a little bit from those deep balls. And like I said, this team's going to be the red zone early and often. Number 4, Evan McPherson, Cincinnati Bengals. So Money Mac last week, he missed a game winner at the end of that one. It hooked left, and then it went to overtime, and they lost. And this week a matchup with the Giants, Sunday Night Football. I know the weather might not be all that great, especially over there at MetLife. The winds are heavy on those night games. But Money Mac, after a mediocre performance last week and missing a tough field goal, I think he bounces back, and he's on one of the best offenses in all pro football. I know they're 1-4 in the season, but 3 games in a row, 30-plus points for the Cincinnati Bengal team. They're hitting on all cylinders. And this week at a New York Giant team where their defense, I don't think, could stop this offense. McPherson's going to have opportunities. Number 5, Kaimi Fairbairn of the Houston Texans. They travel to New England. Fairbairn's been a better kicker at home than he's been on the road. Last week, a game-winning 59-yard field goal as they walked off versus the Buffalo Bills. So New England, we know they're a bend-but-don't-break defense at times, and I think the opportunities will be there once again for Fairbairn. We know he's got unlimited range, like we saw last week, 59 yards. I know Gillette, sometimes it gets windy there as well, but the weather still should hold up here in October, and especially for this game. So Kaimi Fairbairn on a high-powered offense. He's getting many opportunities, and he's a 50-plus yard kicker with confidence. Number 6, Braden Narveson of the Green Bay Packers. Narveson, it's been a pretty solid year. I know he had a hiccup in week 4 in that game with Narveson, missing a few field goals versus the Minnesota Vikings. Last week he wrote the ship, bounced back, and so far 3 out of 5 games, double-digit fantasy points. So this week in a matchup versus the Cardinals where their defense isn't all that great and kickers have been successful this year versus Arizona, I think Narveson's going to get in field goal range early and often. This Green Bay Packer offense is high-powered, especially with Jordan Love back in the lineup the last couple weeks. And like I said, Narveson's been solid besides that one down week. 7, Chase McLaughlin of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. McLaughlin, he's been moving up the last couple weeks, and he's got 4 out of 5 games this season, double-digit fantasy points. And when you're in an offense, obviously, with Baker Mayfield playing great football, when you got receivers like Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and a decent backfield as well. Bucky Irvin, Rashad White's a good platoon back there. And this is a ball game indoors in New Orleans where they're bend but don't break type of defense. So Chase McLaughlin, like I said, one of the best kickers this season in fantasy football. And this week I think he goes out there once again and has a good performance. Number 8, Chris Boswell of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Chris Boswell, he's been a solid kicker all season. And this Steelers team, they have a lot of trouble finding the end zone a lot. So pretty much Boswell, you pencil him in 7+ fantasy points weekly. This game indoors at Vegas, which is always a plus. Don't have to deal with the elements. And we saw last week the game was delayed an hour and a half. Wet conditions the whole game where it was tough to kick. So this week, plus matchup at Vegas, can't stop anyone. And an indoor game, I think Boswell a top 10 option. Once again, number 9, Tyler Bass of the Buffalo Bills. Tyler Bass, he's been a good kicker majority of his career. I know he's been shaky a little bit, 50+ yards this season, where that was his specialty, hitting those long balls. This week, a good matchup at the New York Jets, where their defense and they'll give up a lot of touchdowns, and kickers have to settle. So I think Bass minimum will get 2 or 3 field goal opportunities. He's in a high-powered offense, and he'll get a few extra point chances as well. So this week in a big division matchup at the New York Jets, I think Tyler Bass goes out there, has a good game. Number 10, Austin Seibert of the Washington Commanders. This Commander offense, one of the best in the league, led by Jaden Daniels, Brian Robinson Jr., and Seibert's been getting opportunities left and right since he signed with this Commander team in Week 2, especially a big ball game, over 20 fantasy points in that Week 2 ball game versus the New York Giants. So Seibert's got accuracy, he's kicking the football well, and this week where they know they got to put points on the board once again is his Commander team and a high-powered Baltimore Raven team. I think Seibert's going to get a few opportunities, and he's another kicker that's showing the long range. Number 11, Jason Myers of the Seattle Seahawks. So this week it's a matchup with the 49ers coming to town. And in the division matchup, you just throw everything out and anything can happen, obviously, in these division ball games. So Myers, he's been a solid kicker this season. 3 out of 5 games, double-digit fantasy points. Like I said, San Francisco, a defense that holds team out of the end zone pretty well. And I think Myers, he's going to get a few opportunities. And now coming off of 2 games where they lost Seattle, they know they got to go out there and put points on the board. So I think it wouldn't be surprising if they trot Myers out there for a few 50-plus yarders just to keep up with this Niner offense. And the 12th and final kicker on rankings, Jake Elliott of the Philadelphia Eagles. So Jake Elliott, it hasn't been a great year, but this Eagle offense getting big-time reinforcements. A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith back in the lineup. They're 2 top weapons in the passing game. So Elliott's going to get opportunities. This Cleveland Brown team, they can't stop anyone, obviously, this season. So I think 2 or 3 field goal chances, couple extra points. And this Philly offense, they're going to be rejuvenated with the return of those 2 players and coming off a bye week as well to rest. Obviously get healthy during the bye weeks. That's the top 12 kickers I'm ranking for Week 6 of the fantasy football season.